Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Unplugged by Shape America. I'm your host, CEO Stephanie Morris, and today I have two awesome, amazing guests here to talk with us a little bit about self-care in this COVID-19 era. Bo Shappell and Daniella Land. Hi, Bo. Hi, Daniella. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, we're excited to talk more today.
So let me share with our audience a little bit about who the two of you are. So Bo Shappell is a co-founder of We Integrated, Wellness Education Integrated. Bo is also a middle school physical education teacher with over 12 years of experience. He teaches at Daniel Boone Middle School, which is outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He is an ACE certified personal trainer and former coach. He is also the academic leader for creative arts and human performance in his district, a leader of district-wide SCL initiatives, and he's implemented numerous programs aimed at improving mental, emotional, and physical wellness. Daniella Land is also a co-founder of We Integrated, and she serves as the CEO. She has a passion for integrated approach toward wellness and shifting perspectives, which led to her education in conflict resolution, international studies, and anthropology. And as a certified yoga instructor, Daniella created and led yoga infused with growth mindset, self-awareness, and mindfulness to school districts, including both faculty and students. So I'm sure with that background, the two of you have a lot of really thoughtful, reflective comments to share with us today about these subjects and especially about self-care. But first, I really just want to start things off with asking you, both of you, how are you? How's your family? Have you had a good summer? How are you preparing for your return to school, or how do you return to school? Whatever that looks like.
Sure. So thank you again for having us. Overall, doing really well. I would say my mantras lately have been A, stay positive, and B, take one day at a time. So there's been a lot of uncertainty, a lot of confusion, and really it's about what is in my control and taking one day at a time. So I'm also, I don't know if you know, there's also 8 months pregnant. So that at a time, because you just don't know what tomorrow holds.
And like Daniella said, taking it one day at a time is an approach I'm also doing as well. Last year, I was able to quickly pivot to the online platform, and this year was more of a challenge because of the uncertainty leading up to the school year. And many times things changed last minute for me. But at first, I wasn't sure how to prepare since we went to a hybrid schedule. But now that I'm in school, I'm ready to move forward.
That is really awesome to hear. Also, as a parent, I just love hearing that you have this mindset, and fantastic. And also, congratulations. I did not know that. That is so exciting. So I'm so glad you shared that, and what wonderful news for your family. Really exciting.
Thank you.
So, yes, absolutely. So with so many of us feeling extra stress and anxiety right now, era, do you have advice for teachers on how to manage it and take care of themselves? And can you recommend any resources that you think are particularly helpful on this subject?
Sure. Well, when I first found out I was going hybrid, my initial thought was, where do I begin? And this is a lot. And between all the details of managing the different schedules, coming up with various lessons for both in-person and online, and figuring out how to navigate with all the restrictions of COVID, as I mentioned, it was a lot. But here I am, and something that I'm ready to kind of go forward and work for me.
But you had some tips that helped you work through it, right, Bo?
I did. One of those for me first was jotting my thoughts down on paper. And then from there, it was prioritizing and taking one task at a time. I was 100% fully committed to that task. And it wasn't getting distracted by emails and all these other outside factors. And for me, that really helped me get through it.
Yeah. And just to add to that too, because we have a lot of tips regarding how teachers can work through this time. But I think the one thing is to shift how we see self-care, right? So as Bo mentioned, there's a lot that's being expected of teachers right now. You have new courses, a new format. Sometimes your workload is doubling or tripling because you're having to prepare for various formats. And then there's also going to be these really real concerns about health and job security. And if you were to say self-care, sometimes they would go, oh, I have real problems. Why are you talking to me about self-care? But there's a shift that needs to happen. And it's recognizing that tending to our mental and emotional state is important to keep us on the right track, to find solutions to problems, and to hopefully enjoy our life a little bit along the way, right? Enjoy these precious moments. So shifting our way we think about self-care is really first and foremost to recognize the mental and emotional state is really important. And one example I have of that, I like to talk about our mental diet. So we all know what a physical diet is and why it's important to nourish our bodies. And you can have, treats once in a while. But do we think about it as it relates to our mind? What thoughts, what ideas are we feeding our mind with? And how do they make us feel? So if you find yourself scrolling through social media, binging on the news, and feeling like crap afterwards, that's an indicator, okay, I need to limit this and say to myself, how are my thoughts making me feel? And not just the ones that you're eating, but the ones that just ruminate in your mind. And then 2, look at your mental diet in its totality and say, what's helping me? What's hurting me? And how can I best move forward? So I would say that's one good tip.
Absolutely love that. And I have not heard, I love the mental diet concept. I'm really going to try to adopt that for myself. So it sounds like you're suggesting that, instead of thinking of self-care rituals, sometimes that they're always sort of automatically pop into our mind in that almost stereotypical way, we should also be thinking about or even more, really thinking about self-care as taking a break from the phone, taking a break from the computer, going and just sitting and being present, maybe with itself as self-care. Is that sort of what you're suggesting?
Absolutely. It's not about just avoiding a problem or covering it up. It's really about tending to your, as I call, your inner world, so that you can better move through life and enjoy your life more. So that's exactly it.
I love it. I think that's so powerful and something to really be mindful of. So thank you. So knowing that when we do go back to school, and many are really in that moment right now where they are starting that reentry process, we can all just acknowledge freely it looks and feels completely different in ways that none of us had anticipated, right? So, Beau, I know you're a perfect example of somebody who's in that moment of couldn't have anticipated this, and yet you're experiencing it and feeling your way through it. So do you have any thoughts or advice for our teachers listening for how they can prepare for that shift, and how they can also, especially, I think, plan now for continuing that self-care? Because the thing I worry about the most is as school year progresses and things become busier and busier, and maybe more challenges are sort of confronting us in different ways and from different angles, how do we make sure to make this a regular part of our routine?
Sure. Great question. So I think first it's recognizing that we aren't alone. And I say that because others are going through the same thing right here, right now. And this is a great opportunity to share lesson plans and ideas with others. And networking in the field has helped me tremendously during this time. And I think there's a lot of great resources out there. For example, Shape America. I think your state associations have a lot of great resources. And not only that, but even connecting with people on various social media platforms also has been huge as well.
I can add 2 other points to that too that might be helpful for teachers moving forward as it relates to how they can take care of themselves. One, particularly if you're virtual or hybrid, is healthy boundaries. It's easy to leave on your alerts after school hours and then kind of get sucked back in and feeling like you have to check your emails or respond. Turn them off, put it down, really disconnect, give yourself that time. And that's all about taking that moment to pause and tend to yourself. I would also recommend too, transitions, whether it's your drive home from school or if it's just your walk from the kitchen to the dining room. Give yourself that time to say, I'm transitioning into a new segment of the day. I'm going to take a breath, maybe do something physical to help yourself process and move forward.
I love that. Thank you so much for those words of advice. I am a complete believer in everything you just said. I will share candidly that I've been in previous situations in my life where I felt the pressure of not being able to shut off the email or the phone. And in my current position, I get to be one of the greatest joys, frankly, of being in my current position is that I get to help set the culture for when we are on and when we're not and what that looks like. And I know that for me, I have to have times where I stop checking email and I'm not even on social media and I walk away. And it's not that I'm not necessarily thinking about things related to our HPE community and what more we can be doing, but I have more creative space to be thinking about this because I have that moment of recharge and disconnect. And I firmly believe these things are so important for every person. It's just sometimes I know I respect a challenge of finding that boundary with your boss, right? Your supervisor, if that's not an expectation, but I challenge everybody listening to try to find their way to it because I love what you just said. It's so important.
I love the way you said that too, because that's so true, right? The pause isn't necessarily just about having a pause. It's also because it's the way you create the space for something new to come in. Or whether that be the solution, whether it be for shifting how you're experiencing, or even shifting to a growth mindset. That was well said. I like it.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. I will take that compliment. So any last words of advice for our teachers listening in today?
Sure. So I know this may be a challenging time for everyone. And at the end of the day, this experience, I think, is going to make us better educators. And this is a great opportunity to explore new and exciting ideas for our students. And now's a time for all of us to get creative and show everyone the true value of health and physical education.
I love it. Very, very well.
That's where we end it.
Sorry, did I interrupt, Danielle? I'm sorry.
No, I just said that was a good way to end it. I have nothing to add to that.
Great way to end it. And I can't thank you both enough again for being on the show today. I hope everybody has an opportunity to take a look at We Integrated, and thank you so much for all of your insights on this really important, valuable subject, especially right now in this challenging time. Thank you.
And thank you again.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much to all of our listeners for joining us for today's episode of Unplugged by Shape America. And I hope that you'll tune in next time.